Hey! Cool. Now we're gonna see how well this all works. It's gonna be a fun and interesting process. Got the Extra Life shirt on. I've got my Extra Life shaker cup for my water. Already warm in the kitchen, and all I've started so far is boiling water. Whew. I think I got everything set up. One of the first things that we're gonna do is we're gonna make our mushroom gravy, which is what's gonna turn this into Salisbury steak themed lasagna. I want to get my noodles on the go first. I'm waiting for that water to boil. It sounds like it might be getting there. Let's hop over to this other scene. Got this big guy here is going to be boiling our water. It's not quite there. Got a little bit of bubbling going on, and we'll see how she goes. So I do have some prep work I got to do yet for everything. I do believe we have, oh, you know what? The only thing I didn't get out was flour for the gravy. So I'm taking two recipes that we did recently and combining them to make this lasagna. The lasagna recipe that we have here, I've done it several different times, really enjoy it. Everybody in the family does. The Salisbury steak, I only did the recipe once, but I really enjoyed the mushroom gravy. We're gonna try and replicate that gravy and mix it into our lasagna meat to give it the flavor instead of doing a tomato-based sauce in that. How's it been, everybody? It's been like 4 months since I last did a stream, so bear with me if there's any technical problems that we have to deal with. This is my first stream from this new property we moved since I last streamed. That's been fun. Not really. I don't mind moving. The difficult part is the unpacking and trying to find new places for things. Especially, like, I feel like we just finally got the last house really well organized. And then now to be like, yeah, here we go. Don't have this thing. That kind of sucks. Come on in, say hello. How's everybody doing? This charity stream is a milestone achievement. Back in April, I believe, is when we actually hit the 404 milestone and unlocked a cooking stream, which is my first time doing a cooking stream. And we're going to see how this goes. It was quite the finagling to get everything working. Luckily, have these lapel microphones and stuff from when we did our live streamed our wedding last year, so that was fun, and gives me able to do this with the lapel microphone and not have to try and set up the XLR mic, which would have been a pain in the butt. I think we might have bubbles at the other end. Earlier, before I started stream, I figured out how many pieces of lasagna I need for my tray. I get the onion. Now the recipe actually calls for half a yellow onion, but we like onion in this household. And some of these have been sitting around for a little while. This one might not be any good. Cut into it and see how she looks. I find often the onions is just one extra layer got to get taken off, and this camera cord seems to have an issue. Must have gotten bent or crimped when we moved. You can do dices or slices, whatever your preference is, for your onions. This recipe is not too particular in it with regard to that. Give those noodles a little stir. Trying a couple of different things with the OBS setup. See if my computer can handle it today. See whether or not I can keep that going for other streams as well. I would like the slap chop thing. Not a slap chop though. Same thing. Onions. Kind of around the same size. I don't want too small, but we have small children who freak out about onions in their food sometimes. So gotta pick and choose your battles, right? I'd rather have the onions in there and have them be fairly small. Now, the mushrooms that we have for the mushroom gravy are actually pre-sliced, so that's awesome. 2 minced cloves. We'll do that in a hot minute. But let's jump over to that side. We'll be using this bad boy. This is our king pot, or king pan. We give it a wipe out once in a while, but we don't really wash it. So it's got a combination of flavors throughout the week. Beautiful frying pan. These bad boys over here, bottom of the pan there. Start warming this up. Now the big thing I've found over the years, especially when you get better quality frying pan, is the fact that they like to be heated up low and slow. That was our timer for these noodles. This Dutch oven pot of mine is really hot. Very thin metal on it. Pour up most of the water. We're just going to leave enough to keep the noodles sliding around a little bit. And we're Put some cold water in there. Essentially stop the noodles from cooking. Just bring the water level back up just above all the pasta so that it doesn't overcook or dry out. Those are the mouth words I'm looking for. You want to bring the onions to tender, but not all the way cooked. And then we're going to toss in the mushrooms, butter, and... Now the recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic, but we like garlic. 2.5 cloves there, and third one is sizable. These are looking pretty alright. A little more. They weren't bothering my eyes before, but they are now. Alright, so we got the garlic there. And I need to measure out the butter. 1 tablespoon butter. Alright. Something you won't see too often. Because I'm going to be adding this directly into the frying pan, I don't want the butter to get so overcooked or anything, or burning into the pan. We're going to take it off the heat for 1 second. Toss the butter about. The onions get all the butteriness to them. Take it off the heat when we add in our garlic. That way the garlic doesn't get burned to one part of the frying pan. Okay, that should be good. Now you can bring that over to the heat again. The onions and the garlic together. Probably would have been okay to even do another bit of onion. Probably should have, could have, would have gone for a little bit bigger, or another one. Mix, add the mushrooms and saute until brown. Mixing frequently, lightly seasoning with salt and pepper. So we'll take our salt and pepper over there. We'll add them in our mushrooms for appearance, rather than using the exact measurement. And we'll see how we like it. Okay. I'm thinking for this amount of... Ooh, there's some big ones in there. Look at that one. 1 batch will be good. I'm going to have a hard time getting some of the kids to eat this as it is. Yeah, underneath the top layer, there's some quite sizable mushroom chunks in here. Season with pepper and salt to taste. So I pre-grind my pepper into this little container. Measure by pinches. And then I don't even know where the salt came from. Prairie Rose salt. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's a Canadian product, but I'm missing some of the description off the label. I'll tell you where from. I can read that it is a proudly Canadian made. I'm going to turn the temperature down. Now the pan is warmed up. The pan itself is retaining temperature. I'm only going to do the one thing of mushrooms for how much there seems to be there. In the meantime, in a bowl, not this bowl because that bowl's for something else. In the meantime, we're going to put together the rest of the gravy ingredients. And I need to make my broth too. Alright, 2 tablespoons flour. Substitute as you need. If you aren't a meat eater, by the way, the company of Epicure has a vegetarian lasagna, which is actually really good with their marinara sauce. Warm water in here first to help mix that in. Doing about 3 teaspoons. Making a mess. Oh, dripping everywhere, actually. Add that in there. We're going to add in 1/2 cup of water as well. Now, you're supposed to do 1/2 teaspoon of Worcester sauce, but I don't actually have Worcester. What instead we're going to do is we're going to find our 1/4 teaspoon. And we're going to do a little bit of soy sauce. And we're going to do a little bit Maggi seasoning, which between the two is pretty close to a Worcester sauce. Similar flavor. And 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon. That actually never hurt nobody. Teaspoons of ketchup. I should stir these onions. 2 teaspoons of the ketchup. A little bit of overflow to make up for the... Then we're going to whisk this all together. Who measures salt? 1/4 teaspoon. And 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. Oh! That's what my shirt caught. The rest ended up on the floor. Oh. Well, at least it was the pepper. Sweep that up against the cupboard for now. I'll clean that up later. So I don't track it all over the house in the meantime. That's funny. Now we're going to whisk this up. And, we're going to have to make sure seasonings and stuff, that the mustard and ketchup off the sides. Pour that right in there. Mix that up with the mushrooms and stuff. A little bit of a delay now. We'll get it all figured out. We're going to let the gravy thicken over there on the low heat, and that's all we need off of this one. Now, moving on to prepping our lasagna recipe. Preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Cover our casserole dish, and I cover mine in tin foil. A year later, whether or not it actually ends up helping is always, but in theory, it's helpful. We like theory around here. Everything looks good on paper, right? Everything is awesome. Now I got that song stuck in my head. Coat it with a cooking spray anyways. And we're just going to set that aside for now. I'll get everything. We already cooked our noodles. Water's still really hot, actually. But I just noticed some of my noodles were poking out of the water. And then they get dried out and you end up with a brittle piece. And it doesn't cook right after that either. This recipe, for what it calls for, is only like a pound of beef. But it never seemed like enough. Pound and a half, I think, is actually what the recipe calls for. We're going to use 3 pounds. We want a lasagna that's meaty. Not to say it wasn't good at the pound and a half. It was part of a meal plan that we had. So we adhered to the recipe the first time. I like my lasagna meaty. Peel, damn it, peel. 1. Count with me, kids. 2 bags of meat. Sounds gross when you say bags of meat, doesn't it? Yummy, yummy, yummy. Because I'm going to have to add that to our meats here in a minute. Combine salt, pepper, paprika, and garlic powder. Well, pepper might be an issue. Lacking all of a sudden. 1.5. A little bit extra because we do have more meat than... I guess we'll have to crack some fresh pepper now, since I dumped the rest on the floor. Welcome to Amateur Hour, everybody. Ground paprika. Paprika! 1 tablespoon of paprika. I'm not cooking for other people, I'm cooking for myself. So there's our paprika. And the garlic powder. Quarters of a teaspoon. We're just going to put a full teaspoon in there. I'll make sure that everybody is getting flavorful, enjoyable food, right? Okay, garlic, paprika, garlic powder, and cold water. They want a tablespoon. That tablespoon's gotten pretty dirty, but we doubled the meat. I didn't quite double seasonings because I don't need this flavor to be the flavor people are tasting. Fennel seeds or chick seeds, any kind of seed that you can add to food works just fine. They recommend fennel seeds here. The ones that we do a lot of are, of course the names escape me, hemp hearts and black chia seeds. Also a very, moving away from the recipe, I have some overcooked crunchy bacon bits that I made myself. We're gonna mash all this. Whoa! I grabbed a ladle. At the same time I grabbed other things. We're gonna mash all this together. Yeah, like I said, I didn't double all the seasonings. I definitely added a little bit of extras because of the extra meat. But one of the things that I did do is make sure I added in the extra water for helping the powdered seasonings dissolve or oven's to temperature. A potato masher works great for this. It's really about getting the twist in it while you're crushing it, getting it stirred around. Work in your bowl with it all too, but otherwise you dig your hands in there. Hands work great. You gotta wash your hands afterwards. I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick of washing my hands all the time. My go-to measurement is just simply to make sure when you're spreading your seasonings onto your meats that it's kind of evenly distributed onto all your meat, and then it comes to mashing it in to mix it into the depths of your meat. Just looking for the paprika to spread. The paprika will turn everything kind of a reddish orange. Okay, we're gonna add this beef mixture to a heated large nonstick skillet. We're gonna stir this frequently for about 5 minutes until lightly browned. We don't drain this meat. They don't want you to make it lose all of its moisture content. So just brown throughout, very lightly. It's going to get cooked further in the oven, and the juices from the meat will help cook the al dente pasta noodles for the lasagna batter. So we have a bit of a time here. So today's stream is an Extra Life milestone. If you're not sure what Extra Life is, it is a fundraiser for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. It's part of their programs, and it allows people from all over the world, realistically, to participate in online gaming, board games, and other DIY things for fundraising, such as today's cooking stream. This was a milestone. As a community, we raised $404 a couple months ago, and I finally got around to doing the cooking stream today. We also unlocked the silver medal for reaching the $500 mark, which is the first time that we've done it in the 3 years that we've been doing the fundraising, which is awesome. Happened on my birthday, thanks to another team member, actually, of the Elder Heroes team, which is the Extra Life team I'm a part of. And yeah, it's been pretty awesome. I'm gonna move the gravy back into the bowl it was mixed in. Just gonna get the chunks out. So I don't care if there's a little bit of that in there, a little bit of the gravy in there. That's fine. It's all getting mixed together eventually anyways. But first we're gonna cook up that meat. Also, we don't need as much oil by reusing some of that gravy mix as part of it, but a little bit just to make sure. I can smell the oil. This time the pan's back up to temperature. My oven tilts a little bit too, I've noticed. Everything wants to run to one side. Once this gets back up to temperature, we'll toss that in there. No, we're gonna have to start prepping the cheese soon. So this guy can go away. I'm gonna need a bowl to collect the mozzarella cheese. The ricotta cheese comes in these little containers, and I use about 1.5-ish. Now I've done this. The last time I did this, I took the 3 cups of mozzarella cheese and I mixed it with the ricotta cheese and then distributed it between the layers pre-mixed. I don't know what it was, but I just didn't like it that way. I thought it would be easier for me, but no, I didn't care for it at all. What did I do with the bacon? Oh, there it is. I know it never made it out onto the counter. That's our bacon crumble for the top. Butter can go back in the fridge. I can smell the stuff and things. Yeah, look, and some of the gravy actually kind of evaporated off of here. Kind of let it go a little bit too long. We'll use the same spaghetti thing for the meat mixture. I don't care if the flavors mix because it's all getting mixed together anyways. Spread that out and about. And again, it's going to be about 5 minutes. We want everything lightly golden brown. We don't want to lose too much of the juice. And then put this lid on here to try and heat the whole thing evenly. Ish being the key part of that. So I need a total of 4.5 cups of the ricotta divided use. We're just going to measure the ricotta as we go along. And I need 3 cups of shredded. So we'll use this bowl to collect the shredded mozzarella. Not sure what the point of doing it over the bowl is when you're missing the bowl with half of it. Idiot. Got a blister on this hand. Helping my dad. Which is one of the reasons why I ended up being a little bit later than I intended for today's stream. That's life. I'm not a streamer. I'm just a guy that plays around on the internet sometimes and tries different things. Definitely not my job by any stretch of the imagination. I mostly just do it for the charity stuff. But it is my hope and plan to be a little bit more consistent with streaming and providing that entertainment for people. Try to help build up the community a little bit more so we have a variety of people showing up for the charity streams throughout the month of August. I'm hoping to go back to work in September, which will completely ruin any kind of streaming schedule I might come up with in the meantime. That's how work goes. Good. Coming along nicely. Now, this is a 3-cup bowl, so I'm thinking 1 whole stick of mozzarella should be plenty. A little bit extra on the top never hurt nobody, for sure. I think the last time we did this, we didn't actually have mozzarella. I just used up the old cheddar and marble that we had in the house. We always have the old cheddar. The wife likes the sharpness of the old cheddar. And then we get the marbled cheddar for the kids. What do you think? You think that's enough? You think it's close to the 3-cup top of that there measuring cup? Do all the cleanup later. Should be good to go. Don't waste cheese, it's expensive. Alright, so we took that off the heat. This is the one we're cooking on. Move that to the off position. And we're going to add in our tomato sauce, which in this case is going to be our Salisbury steak gravy. We're going to get all that mushroom gravy goodness to our lasagna meat. Earlier I mentioned that Epicure has a recipe for a vegetarian marinara based lasagna. The recipe basically contains cottage cheese and spinach, a lot of it. So if you wanted to, you could easily increase the vegetable content of this recipe by adding fresh or frozen pucks of spinach into your recipe. There's no limitations on what you add into the lasagna beyond this point. So if you wanted, while you're making the mushroom sauce or your tomato sauce, to add in more vegetables, go hard. Make it as hearty as you want, right? Another thing that you could do is even make a chili lasagna. Make a big, thick, good chili and use that as your meat base and your sauce for your lasagna. And that'd be pretty alright. I'd be okay with that. We're gonna bring all these things over here now. I don't need you, but I'm gonna use you as a hot plate. I'm gonna use you for a hot plate. Doesn't use it as a hot plate and put something else on there. Actually have things for that process. We're just gonna grab this towel though. Slide that stuff out of the way. Cloth down here. I've warped this frying pan. This is a cutting board. I'm smart. I went to school. I'm a college student. Done things with my life. Pour out all the water from the lasagna. Now we're not worried about it getting dried out. We're going to take a very small amount of our mixture and spread it over the bottom of the casserole dish. We're using a roasting pan. So just a small amount, just essentially to keep things from sticking to the bottom. Take a little bit of this here. Bring that closer. Work smarter, not harder. This is another reason why I more meat of the recipe. Get a better, more even consistency. Spread that all around. Get that juicy goodness everywhere. Now again, you're not coating the whole thing. It doesn't have to be covered in meat. Or your tomato sauce or whatever kind of sauce you end up using. Now we're going to do layer. For this particular pan, ended up being 7. Earlier, before I started to stream, I figured out how many pieces of lasagna I need for my tray, which is a little, because even though I've made this recipe 100 times, I never remember that the lasagna noodles both get longer and wider as they absorb water. So I measured out 7 uncooked pieces and it ended up being 6 cooked pieces. We want to spread out about 1.25 cups of the beef mixture. 2 cups doesn't really cover much of this lasagna. Again, the recipe that I'm working with is from a specific meal plan, tray, and whatever. Scoop what we think looks good. Give us the coverage of the lasagna noodles that we want, which for me is, I'd say 80% covered in meat. And again, if you're not a meat person, there are many alternative recipes out there. And they're actually really good. I've had most of them. When my wife and I first met, we kind of had a pescatarian diet as she was having issues with red meats making her sick, which was alright. Helped open up my palate to more things. 1.5 cups of the ricotta. We use a different measuring of that. There's different kinds of ricotta. I found the traditional has the best flavor because anything that has the most amount of fat and salt is definitely the better version. When getting your ricotta cheese out of the container, just small brushing. You don't want to dig too deep. It'll fluff up your ricotta by taking smaller little scrapes off of the top, and it'll spread better once you get to spreading it out across your. I'm getting a little impatient with myself and not following my own advice, scraping a little deeper than I need. Work your way around pretty well, 1/2 container for each layer. For this size of container, which is 475 grams. I almost need my bifocals on for cooking again, or now. I have bifocals for driving because my eyes have a hard time going from the horizon down to the dashboard. Pretty alright. So same kind of pattern, little tiny scrapes, shake it off your spoon. You want to distribute the ricotta evenly throughout your noodles because it doesn't really spread. It's very sticky kind of cheese. And when we put the next layer of noodles on top, we're just going to squish it in between the layers. So we'll do the ricotta, and then we throw on some mozzarella. Mozzarella helps stick the layers together, and the ricotta really gives it a nice flavor. Out of your little piles of ricotta you make, you can flick the top off, but you got to be careful that because it will grab your meat sauce and take it all with it. So if you like how your meat sauce is distributed, try to do a good job. Your ricotta, bark around with it too much. I have way too much on this side, not enough. So ricotta, and then we have these little 1-cup bowls. The weight of the mozzarella is started compacting it down into the bowl, the big bowl. And you just want to get cheese about a little bit everywhere. I find my noodle preference is the whole wheat. I found, and ones that you have to cook. We started boiling them before we did anything else. I tried the don't need to boil, just make your lasagna and move on with your life ones. And I found they just weren't as good. The wife and I were on a bit of a health kick at the start of the year. Eating healthy, exercising, all that fun stuff. And I really come to appreciate, when it comes to starches, things like whole wheat pastas, as an example, definitely have way better flavor than plain white. You find the ribbled squiggly bits on the side of this will peel off a lot when it's cooking. And then we just take your hands and just press down on our pasta noodles. This will help level out the ricotta. The layers come in contact with each other so that when it cooks, your cheese will hold it all together. It's all starchy, but we have this recipe set up for 3 layers, and it'll bring it right up to the top of this pan for me. Just kind of sizing up how much I got left here for the next layer. Another thing you could do, if you're modifying your recipe, is get out some bowls, measure out 3 equal portions, 1 for each layer of your meat sauce. I doubled the meat content for this one. And one of these days, I'll get smart and I'll separate it into 3 equal portions and not have to do so much eyeballing. But it looks pretty. Okay. And the ricotta. So yeah, I used a little bit more than half last. But 2 of these nearly 500-gram containers. But what I was saying was the dog didn't even need out. Definitely from the heat of the oven being on. The cheese is like melting into the bowl. In the future, should we do another cooking stream that involves shredded cheese, I should put that bowl into a larger bowl. Just all fell out in one big, into a larger bowl that has ice in it or something. Cool. That would be smart. And then we'll do another layer of the noodles. And even though I tried to count my lasagna noodles, because I ended up needing 1 less per layer, I was trying to avoid that, because in the past I was just like, cook it all. Oh well, only so much I can do. So all of the meat that's left will be in this top layer. Gravy sauce. Yeah, get a good spatula, get that all out of there. Every last drippity drop. Hardly any meat left for the top layer, but that's okay. So some critiques. The recipe I used for the meat sauce, the mushroom sauce from the Salisbury steaks, I think I would double it. So I used the 1 onion. This time I probably used 2 onions, 2 things of mushrooms, a little bit more broth and stuff. It might be okay actually with the broth level, but a little bit more of the mushroom and onions, I think. Let's try it again. Generous with our ricotta as well. I don't have any other recipes that use it, so being a family of 5, meals like this are awesome. We can usually get 2 dinners out of one of these lasagnas. And we're gonna love it just the way it is. It's changed a lot of the recipe, but you know, we're gonna love it for the value of cheese it brings into our lives. You know, I've never watched a cooking stream on Twitch. We're gonna add that to this top layer. Give it a little bit more color too. Cheese, 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 cheese. And you want flavorful cheddar, but your kids like panic if it's not marble. I actually found that some of the lactose-free cheddar cheeses are actually quite flavorful. So there's what she ended up looking like. Beautifully done. We're going to cover it with aluminum foil, bake it for 40 minutes, and then we're going to uncover it and crisp up the cheese on the top. Where did I put that foil back? Oh, ow, that's the side of the oven. Oh, the bacon! The bacon! It's not part of the written recipe. Hold your phone there, lasagna. We're not done with you. Oh, that was bad. I forgot. I even talked about it. Yeah, bacon crumble. Okay, so this is like some super crispy bacon that I made at breakfast time the other day. Now, if I had remembered that I had this while I was doing the cheese, I probably would have put this on under the layer marbled cheddar that we added on top. While that cooks, work on some cleanup. Many moons ago, a few years back, we used to do a monthly featurette on our family geocaching YouTube channel. But we used to do this thing called Keeper's Kitchen for the Keepers of the Cashflow geocaching channel. And we would do some sort of cooking. I always had fun doing the kitchen videos for that channel. Making them, planning them out, not so much. It is fun to do these things. Yeah, $534.64. That's the most money we've raised in the 3 years. The previous 2 years of Extra Life, we did not break the $200 mark on either year. And then this year, we've nailed it. We've rocked it right out of the park. Got started on it early this year. Our next milestone is unlocked at $555 US. And I'm going to attempt doing a live geocaching stream. So with the live geocaching stream, there are a few caveats. I would like to do Alberta's oldest geocache and do a live stream of us going out there finding it. But I have permission from the cache owner to make a video on it. I got permission from them so long ago, but haven't made it that way to go and get it. I don't know what the service is like out there though, so I may have to just go record that one and then do a live geocaching stream in a more urban area so that I know the service will be better. Anyways, as a team, we've raised $3,834.42. Our team goal is only $5,000, so we're getting pretty close to that. It's a heavy pizza, man. 3 pounds of, not pizza, lasagna. It's a heavy lasagna. Oh, that is, mwah. This is why I'm the house husband. This is it. I do love cooking. All right. Do you see that deliciousness? Look at that. It is beautiful. It does look great, doesn't it, honey? It's got that bacon crumble on top. We ended up using one whole stick of like block of cheese, of the mozzarella cheese. We used up both things of regatta, and we did the 3 pounds of meat like we usually do. We used the mushroom sauce from our Salisbury steak recipe instead of a tomato base for this one. That's why it looks darker. You don't have any highlights of red in the coloring. And we've got some deliciously baked lasagna. So there you have it, guys. A Salisbury steak lasagna. I'll let you know how it tastes. My name is Devin Pierce. This has been a Extra Life charity milestone stream. Be kind, be safe, game well, game often.